this is Jeff Nager with AMD World Championship of Custom Bike Building. We're in day 2 in Sturgis, South Dakota, and do I have a ride in front of me? It's from Blacksmith Motoring Company. I've got Gio next to me, and we're looking at a GL 1000, and it's probably the hippest bike I've seen. It's a 77?
77.
So take us through this. Tell us what the inspiration in building this bike is.
I'm trying to develop a retro theme to some of my bikes now. So we're going back to the 60s, 70s, and maybe early 80s and doing a really retro style performance bike. So we took a 1977 GL 1000 frame, the motor, did a big bore kit on it, the supercharger, nitrous to get you in that performance era. But then I went old school, almost Indian style retro with the colors and the fenders to try to give it that really good old school positive flair, but with new reliability for the year 2000.
Old school voodoo.
Pretty much, yeah. Big time voodoo.
Big time voodoo. Right here, folks, in Sturgis, South Dakota. You know, some of your roots is in the lowriders, and some of that is shown here.
Yes. Easy Garcia, which is a big time engraver for us for over 30 years in the lowriding community. I brought him in to help me because 90% of the things I used to do are in the lowrider industry. So we always do things with lowriders to get hydraulics, so here we do air ride. Very important to keep your cultural roots when it comes down to being able to raise and lower bikes. The twisted spokes has always been something popular with lowriders.
And it's just wrong not to be able to lower your bike, isn't it?
That's true. And be able to not do it while you're riding is even worse.
It's more important to do that.
That's right. When you pull up to the spot, you got to drop the back, let the airbags hit hard, let everybody know. If you look in the paint too, a lot of the camera that I pick up, but there's lace patterns that are done within the candy, takes you right back again to our lowrider roots of having the graphic area there, but not very apparent until you walk up on the bike. And of course, the heavy flake is always lowrider central. But then I also had those roots that I like that old retro. So it was kind of trying to blend the two to make it look sensible, but still appear to our lowrider culture, but appear to that old school guy that remembers what these bikes look like in the 30s and 40s.
Well, you don't want to give it up. You know, you don't want to have anything less than perfection.
No, I try not to.
All right. Well, you also come from a jewelry background, and what's really interesting about the bike is that a lot of the features that you've put in it are jewel-like, and they really catch your eye. Not only do they look good, but they really perform. They're high quality.
Yeah, I'm also the senior designer at Blacksmith Company, which is our jewelry company line. And I guess the sense of detail is there. The problem with the sense of detail is just that. It's so much detail that you really need to look over our bikes and go through it. But we do, my guy at Badass Keys helped us out with a sterling silver key. Did our casting for it and polishing on it. And if you look at a lot of small, fine detail work, I try to do diamond cuts on things that reflect the light out. Even the spokes, even though they look like they're twisted, we call them diamond machine cut to get the sparkle off the copper. Even down to the seats, the way we lay it in with the cuts when they're double stacked up, you still get that whole jeweler pull-in cut to it. But yeah, I would say I never really looked at it that way, but everybody's kind of been going back that my jeweler roots have transformed into the bike with just the superior detail of small spaces to be able to fill that small space with something that looks classic.
Right. So let's talk about the frame. Did we do anything on the geometry of the frame?
Yeah, we added 4 degrees of rake to the front because this bike, even though it wears a 21 by 3.5, later on it will wear a 23 by 3.5. But we wanted to kick out the front. Also, because of the supercharger being so close to the radiator, we had to put the fan in the front to be able to pull the added coolant. So it's important to push it out and to even out the trail. We machined the whole front end, lower and uppers. The stock GL front end is quite skinny. We wanted something more large, bulkier, and also do it engraving. It's all done on aluminum, all CNC by us, and my CNC guy, Ray at StarTech. The headlight is old school, vintage, you know, Indian style. But if you look at the bezel once again, all hand engraved and done with the copper. As from the frame,
how difficult was it to engrave that? I mean, the detail in the engraving is just outstanding. Is that done in-house? You've got an artist to do that for you?
Easy Garcia out of Texas, Easy Engraving. I've known Easy for 25 years through the lowriding community. All this stuff is done by hand. So I applaud him because we have probably about 300 hours at least in engraving here. And it's all stuff that he had to be on and get. So it took about 2 months to get it done, which is unreasonable because normally it's like 4 to 5 months, but because of the timeline for the AMD, he had to get it done. But a lot of his patterns, I mean, and the fact that they're all symmetrical to each side is amazing in itself because you're doing it all by hand. So And I always had to give it up to Easy for that.
You always got to give it up to Easy.
I always got to give it up to Easy for that.
All right. So this looks like a stock gas tank, but I'm suspecting that it's probably not.
Nope, fake gas tank. Has storage underneath with a pop top, the actual gas tank under the seat.
And you've got enough room for your supercharger.
Yeah, barely. The supercharger actually almost comes up to the 3/4 line of the tank. Even though it's still hidden underneath it, you can kind of see it. It's running with an Eaton's M45 root supercharger, which is actually made for a 4 6-cylinder car. So it's not like some of the new bikes are running a Pro Charger series side mount. This is an actual old school crank driven. Drop it in, let it ride.
And it does look really cool. I mean, you got to really look at it, but man, it just screams performance.
And the hard part is that people will never see, but behind the side mounted carb, the intake was actually machined by my machinist Ray out of a solid piece of billet aluminum, because there is less than about 10 inches of space between the back of the supercharger and the frame. So that lower intake and the back intake is all machined and made by us, which of course I had to put on a dyno to make sure it was proven, because I can't have anything that's not going to keep the horsepower range going up.
Now I'm seeing a few things from Arlen Ness here, the controls and the intake.
Yep, I do love Arlen.
It's hard not to.
I know, but Arlen,
you have to give it up to Arlen too, don't you?
Give it up to Arlen, because Arlen always takes care of us, and Rich at Arlen Ness takes care of us. He's our main rep. We did the retro controls from Arlen Ness. We did their side horn, pickup air cleaner, and I want to say I did something else from Ness. Maybe not. I think that was it from them. But one of the things I do deal with Arlen Ness are on their upper controls. If all our bikes, you know, we always run our Arlen Ness upper controls. They're more efficient for us. We never had any leak problems out of them. And because we do what we call our Illusion Houdini bar setup, where all the controls are ran internally, and we do the clutch conversion from the hydraulic to mechanical, it's important to make sure that these controls, especially on the hydraulic side, can take the pressure from our conversion piece, because there's a lot of back push when you let go of the clutch, because you're actually pulling the cable. Even though the hydraulic cylinder is sitting there, that back pressure to come back used to blow the top off of some. So Ness has been the only one that's been able to provide us really with the upper controls that I kind of trust.
So it's the Houdini controls.
Houdini Illusion is our whole bar setup.
From Blacksmith, only at Blacksmith.
Only at Blacksmith.
Now, can guys get some of that Houdini stuff if they're on the website? And
No, we do Houdini conversions for any metric and Harleys. I'll walk you through the guide. You can either send in the product, or we'll send you the product back, send us the bars, we'll send them back to you. We can provide the bars, any combination. We can walk you through what controls to use, even though I have specific manufacturers I trust, but I know everybody's on a different budget, or you may have your favorite. But whatever it is, we can work it out. But it definitely has that bicycle feel to the whole bike, is what I love, and that's why we pretty much got into doing it.
So it's Houdini, but it's not magic.
Right, but it disappears though, quick.
It does disappear. So let's take a moment and talk about Blacksmith. Who you guys are, what kind of products that you provide. You do ground ups, but you also have accessories.
Yes.
And you also have leather, apparel. So give us the 411.
Okay, Blacksmith Motoring Company, we've been in business about 15 years. We have 2 locations, one in Minden, Nevada, the other one in Round Lake, Illinois. Currently, we will take care of ground up restorations, ground up retros, also late model OEM conversions are what we're calling them. Basically, you should be able to go into your local dealership, like you were a Carroll Shelby trying to get a Shelby from Ford, walk in, say you want a Blacksmith conversion. We'll take that OEM bike and go front to back, whether it's fenders, paint, some of our accessories, pop on floorboards, because everything that we do, our production line, we manufacture in-house. We can cover metrics from different floorboards, all different types, carb setup, supercharged and NOS, different front ends, rake trees. So anything that you see basically done on a Harley, we can help a person do that same thing on any metric, whether it's Honda, Yamaha, Suzuki, doesn't make a difference. You bring me a BSA.
So you'd be the metric man.
I would probably be the metric man. Yeah, I would be the new metric man. I still do Harleys though.
But so you're non-discriminating.
Right, no, BSAs, Triumphs. If you had a motor scooter,
you could handle it.
I'd handle the motor scooter.
All right.
We also do our own apparel line that are matching up the bike. I have one of our products on now. A lot of our apparel falls off of Dickie wear. We're working with Dickie now to be able to provide good quality work shirts, so a guy can actually work on his bike in the shirt, go laundry it, go ride in it. We had t-shirts too, leather riding jackets, all to promote the Blacksmith brand, and also a lot of our high-end bikes that we've done, like this one will have the picture of the bike on the back, just so people can reflect back there. We make our keys, air ride systems for just about any bike. So anything you can dream up on a metric that you thought you couldn't have done, down to custom wheels, whether you want to go 26 or 16, it doesn't matter, we can handle it.
Soup to nuts.
Yeah, pretty much.
All right. All right, so let's get back to the bike. One of the aspects of the bike that I really like is the exhaust pipe and the trucker caps on the back. What was the design? What were you thinking in the design on that?
Well, I, once again, got to give it to somebody else. Chip at CCS Choppers, really good friend of mine, really good family friend. I told him I want to do quads on a bike, so we kind of sat down. The hard part was routing. If you notice, the quads are routed around the frame and all the accessories very well, to the point that if the exhaust isn't put on at a certain time of the bike, it's not coming on. Certain things have to come out before it, certain things have to go on before it. I love the flappers or trucker caps, or some people call them rain caps. When the bike is actually started, they run in a sequence of one front top left, the lower right, upper top right, lower left. So they give you kind of a orchestra of pinging, which I definitely love. Now they're one-off back oval. They look like mufflers, but Chip actually had those compressed and flattened out because no one's ever really ran ovals. They run the oval tips, but not a whole oval muffler. They're non-baffled, of course.
Of course.
But we tune our bikes really well, so you don't get the loud pops, and it sounds like a race car. So I prefer to keep it still legitimate, legal, you can ride around on it, but it can't nothing beat that sound of just the motor when it's well tuned. You find you really need baffles on bikes that guys haven't taken the time to tune out the motor, depress the sound, and also if you put enough steps in the pipe, you can decrease that sound without using baffles. And that's the big part with this. Chip and I sat down, really designed the steps to keep the back pressure for the supercharger, because superchargers really need back pressure from the exhaust, but they need a good intake system, the opposite of turbo. So that was really important, because I don't believe in losing horsepower over fashion. Can't do it. But it's all hand engraved, tiny heat shells down the side. The flappers are all hand engraved by Easy. Copper, my guy John at Loco Performance handles all our powder coating, and he did the ceramic coating on the exhaust, which I tell anybody is the greatest thing in the world. You can spill stuff on it, wipe it off, it will never turn a dull. Just shine up with a little bit of aluminum polish and you're good to go.
And they keep it cooler.
Yeah, definitely. And on a bike like this where you're stacking up four, and it's like cooling is of a big importance.
Let's talk about your rear fender. That looks like a little bit of an Indian ilk.
Yeah, it had an Indian feel to it. My dad, John, at our body shop, kind of took care of it and molded. He took an old Indian-style classic rear hump, chopped it up, fiberglassed the whole front section, stretched it 3 inches wide, and brought it down 4 inches to be able to hug the tire.
And who are you using for your brake systems?
PM. We run a PM,
very nice.
PM4 piston on the rear with a custom mount that we machined to hold on with EBC rotors that have been thinned down by a guy at Disc Brake Surfacing down in Ohio. The front is running a PM6 caliber, 6 piston, I'm sorry, with a EBC caliber and our own personal front mount to adapt it to the front wheel.
Well, this is an outstanding bike. If somebody was looking at it on the video and wanted to get more information or even wanted some parts, what website would they be logging on to, and what phone number they need to dial?
You can go to www.blacksmithmotoring.com, or you can reach us at 888-740-2077.
All right, there you have it. The Blacksmith, El Vaquero. El Vaquero.
Yep, Cowboy.
It's the Cowboy. It's a great looking bike. We're having fun here in Sturgis at the AMD World Championship. Thanks for coming, and good luck in the show.
I appreciate it. Thank you.